In this video, we're going to look at how to make an accordion flower with sort of a pinwheel kind of center. You'll see I have some accordion flowers on this layout, some very basic ones, and there are some links on my blog to various videos on making accordion flowers. I made this one in blue, the light blue one, and it came out to be so thick that I wanted to make it a little bit smaller. So I've added an extra step that sort of squishes down the middle and created an interesting effect I call a pinwheel. It's just more part of the accordion. And I have another one up here on the layout that I did that has a scalloped edge and then also the same cutout center. So let's see how these were made. Okay, to make our flower we need a 12-inch long strip of designer paper, and I have mine cut to 1 inch wide. You can use whatever width you want. You'll end up with a flower just a little bit more than twice as wide as your paper strip is. And you'll need a piece of cardstock cut in a circle that will be a little bit smaller than your flower, and be sure and have that and your adhesive ready so you can assemble everything once you get your flower going. And I'm using glossy accents for my adhesive. You could use other liquid adhesives. This is what I found worked pretty well. Now I'm going to use my Fiskars paper cutter and use the scoring blade to do my scoring. I want to score the paper strip every ½ inch. So I'm just going to move it along and score it every ½ inch. Some of the flowers that I showed you on my layout were actually scored every ¼ inch. And I think those make really pretty pinwheel flowers. Are more delicate. And it's actually this ½ inch scoring that got me into doing this extra little effect that I'll show you. Okay, now I have my paper strip scored every ½ inch, and I'm just going to go ahead and fold it accordion style. And what I want to do, I may have to trim something off because I want to glue the ends together, and I want to make sure that my hills and valleys, as they're called, line up. So I need to trim off one of these ends, or ½ inch off one end. And then I'll glue this together so it forms a circle. A piece of cardstock. And I'm just going to put quite a bit of glossy accents on that, set it aside. And now what I want to do with the accordion strip, fold it in, Now once you get that folded in, you want to flip it over on the back side, or you could have folded it in with the back side up first, and add a little bit of glossy accents along the little peaks here. Now hold that together and apply our piece of cardstock. I'm just going to flip this over on top of the flower, and it'll come apart, and you'll just have to push it back together and just hold it in place for a couple of minutes until it sets. Once I've let that set for about a minute, I'm going to flip it over very carefully and then add a little bit more adhesive. And I'm squeezing a little bit in between all the different points. Just continuing to press down on the bottom. And before it sets up completely, this is where I'm going to add a little extra trick to it. This creates when you do a 1/2 inch fold, it creates a very thick flower, and that was a little thicker than I wanted on my layout. So what I did was take my scissors and I made snips about halfway, maybe not quite as much, down the paper on each point. Make a little snip. And then I'm going to fold my snips over. And that little bit of adhesive that you applied when you first flip this over will help hold everything together. And this creates like a pinwheel inside of a pinwheel. And you can add a little extra adhesive if you need to. But it also takes a little bit of the height off. It's still pretty thick, but it takes a little bit of the height off so that you can put in the middle a button or a brad. I did one of each on my layout, and I've got different size buttons out here. I think I'm going to want one of the smaller buttons that I had laid out. And what I'll do is just glue that in the center. It also makes a great place to put in a brad as well. But I think we'll just put this in the center. And there you go. And that will need to dry. And once that dries, then I'll have another pretty pinwheel flower with an extra little pinwheel going around the middle. Thank you for watching, and please visit my blog for more details.